If you had written off Zion Williamson a few years ago, you might want to think twice now. He's unstoppable and proving it night after night. He's pretty much taken the league by storm with averages this season that are absolutely jaw-dropping. The young player is on his way to becoming one of the greatest Pelicans ever, and he's not even being acknowledged for it yet, at least according to CJ McCollum. Let's see why. First up, what did CJ McCollum say about Zion Williamson? CJ McCollum recently talked about some of the things he saw when playing with Zion Williamson, and let's just say he was more than impressed. In his diary, he described how he couldn't believe what he saw when he got to play alongside Zion Williamson. The efficiency, strength, power, and finesse. After a year of not playing due to injury, Zion is finally getting comfortable and settled into where he's finding his spots on the court, shooting threes and getting to the free throw line. His defense has been on point as well, with shot blocks reminiscent of his time at Duke. And then there was the show-stopping 360 dunk against the Phoenix Suns. It was a moment of pure anger and athleticism. McCollum was in awe of how Zion managed to be graceful yet so powerful, almost eye level with the rim, with the dunks sounding like a jackhammer hitting it. Zion had certainly given his fans a show and something to talk about for the rest of the year. So how good has Zion Williamson been this season? Zion Williamson has been nothing short of spectacular this season. His averages of 25.5 points and 7.2 rebounds on an outrageous 61% shooting have propelled the Pelicans to an 18-11 record, good for first place in the Western Conference. Not only is Zion scoring at a high clip, but also doing it efficiently with a net rating of plus 8.9, and likely due to his improved defense, which has been a pleasant surprise this season. He's been an absolute monster on the glass, grabbing 9 or more rebounds in 15 games already this season and leading the team in rebounding at 7.2 per game. His athleticism has taken over games as well, with highlight reel dunks on a nightly basis. Zion is playing out of his mind and is firmly in the MVP conversation. It looks like he's finally living up to the hype. We're truly witnessing something special with this young man. When you add it all up, it's no surprise that the Pelicans have become one of the top teams in the West and are now legitimate title contenders. With Zion leading the way, it looks like there could be a very special season ahead for New Orleans. Let's just hope he can stay healthy and keep up this incredible level of play. Up next, is Zion in the MVP race? Zion Williamson is making a strong case for MVP consideration this season. He's putting up incredible numbers, and his team, the New Orleans Pelicans, is firmly in the thick of things out west. Zion's averages are good enough to lead all qualified players in the NBA. His athleticism has taken over games on a nightly basis, resulting in highlight reel dunks every other night, it seems. It's not just his numbers that make him an MVP candidate either, it's how he impacts the game. Zion has completely changed the identity of the Pelicans from year one to now, and he's been a driving force in their rise up the standings. His leadership and intensity on both ends of the floor have made New Orleans one of the most feared teams in the West. All things considered, it wouldn't be surprising if Zion Williamson is up for serious MVP consideration come the end of the season. He's certainly been playing at an elite level, and it's a major reason why the Pelicans are in contention for a top 4 seed out west. It might not happen this year, but Zion may prove to be an MVP candidate sooner rather than later. Right now, Zion Williamson stands at a strong number 8 in the Kia race to the MVP ladder. He's currently behind Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets, Kevin Durant of the Brooklyn Nets, Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers, Stephen Curry of the Golden State Warriors, LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers, Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks, and Kawhi Leonard of the Los Angeles Clippers. That being said, Zion has been on a tear lately and is slowly creeping up the ladder. Coming up, the Pelicans left without Zion because of health protocols. Recently, Oklahoma City and the New Orleans Pelicans faced off in a match with the longest win streak in the Western Conference on the line. While both teams had to battle through some injury issues, it was New Orleans that felt its issues more keenly. Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram were both unable to play due to health and safety protocols, while Larry Nance Jr. and CJ McCollum were listed as questionable. Ousmane Dieng was also absent due to a wrist injury, his second of the season. Unfortunately for Zion Williamson, his recent injury is not the only one he's faced this season. In the past, he's missed games due to various health and safety protocols, as well as a wrist injury. These have kept him out of multiple important games, and it is unclear when he'll be back on the court again. Next, what can the Pelicans do without Zion on the team? Without Zion Williamson on the court, the Pelicans have still been able to find success. Although they rely heavily on Zion's scoring and playmaking abilities, some adjustments have allowed them to win 9 of their last 10 without him. The first adjustment has been the emergence of other young stars on the team, such as Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball. Both players have become efficient scoring options and reliable playmakers in Zion's absence, allowing the offense to remain potent without him. The team has also heavily utilized veterans such as J.J. Redick and Steven Adams. They've produced much-needed leadership and experience that have helped the Pelicans keep their composure while facing tough opponents. Additionally, the Pelicans have heavily relied on their depth and versatility. Players such such as Eric Bledsoe and Willie Hernangomez have stepped up in a big way when needed to provide valuable minutes and production off the bench. This has allowed the team to remain competitive despite missing its best player. Overall, the Pelicans have proven that they're a complete team capable of winning without Zion Williamson on the court. By making adjustments and leaning on other pieces, they've been able to remain one of the best teams in the league and continue their recent win streak. Up next, the Pelicans extend their win streak without Zion. The New Orleans Pelicans showed the relentless spirit as they beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 128-125 in an intense overtime thriller on Friday night. Led by Murphy and CJ McCollum, who each hit a three-pointer in the first 2 minutes of overtime, the Pelicans never looked back. Zion Williamson was noticeably absent from the game. "This is a relentless group," Pelicans coach Stan Van Gundy said. "They just keep coming and find a way to fight through adversity." The Thunder, however, were not ready to be taken out easily, as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored a career high of 44 points and had 10 rebounds and 6 assists, leading the Thunder back from a 21-point deficit in the second quarter. The Pelicans regained control of the game and had an 8-point lead with 4:53 remaining after 2 free throws by Gilgeous-Alexander, but Oklahoma City's defense stepped up and the Pelicans didn't have a field goal in the final 2:57 of regulation, allowing the Thunder to tie it up at 112 all. This was a true test of resilience for both teams, but in the end, New Orleans' persistence paid off as they eventually came out on top. In addition to McCollum and Marshall's heroic efforts, Brandon Ingram and Eric Bledsoe scored 24 points each as the Pelicans secured their second straight win without Zion Williamson in the lineup. Gilgeous-Alexander finished with a career-high 44 points for Thunder, but it wasn't enough to defeat New Orleans, and his impressive performance was still not enough to help Oklahoma City come out on top. Coming up, when will Zion Williamson return? Zion Williamson's return to the court is still up in the air, and with Brandon Ingram already ruled out as well, it looks like quite a challenge ahead for New Orleans. As per NBA health and safety protocols, Zion may come back quicker than expected, but only if he ticks all the boxes. He needs to be vaccinated, tick, be asymptomatic, double tick, and produce back-to-back tests with cycle threshold values of 30 or above. That means his body is hosting less contagious levels of the virus, so if those criteria are met, we might just see Zion back in no time. But don't forget, there's still the reconditioning plan to consider, and all this might just mean that Zion could take the court against Minnesota on December 28th. Fingers crossed, Pelicans fans. Regardless, it looks like New Orleans will have to bring their A game against San Antonio tonight if they want to snap their 4-game losing streak, as the Spurs have won 4 of their last 6 games. Let's see what happens. And finally, Pelicans trade rumors run wild. The trade in question is a 3-team deal that would send OG Anunoby from the Toronto Raptors to the New Orleans Pelicans, Herb Jones from the Pelicans to the Lakers, and Jonas Valanciunas in a 2021 first-round pick via the Lakers from Los Angeles to New Orleans. For the Pelicans, this is an intriguing proposition. Anunoby is an excellent two-way player and would fit in perfectly with fellow stars Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. He's a very consistent scorer, averaging 18 points per game on good shooting percentages, and has the ability to guard multiple positions. His contract, just over $18 million this season, is a bit pricier than Herb Jones's rookie deal, but it's not outrageous, and the Pelicans would get him for 2 more seasons after this one. As for the Pelicans' return in the deal, they'd be losing Herb Jones, who's been a fan favorite and an excellent role player this season. He's versatile on defense and is capable of knocking down corner threes when called upon. Losing him would definitely hurt their depth and could potentially disrupt the chemistry in the locker room. All things considered, this is a win-win for both teams involved. The Raptors get younger and more athletic with Herb Jones, while the Pelicans get an upgrade to their starting lineup at the expense of a little depth. If they think OG Anunoby will be able to contribute at a high level and fit in with their core group, then they should pull the trigger on this trade. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think Zion Williamson is good enough to be a huge star? Let us know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.